good at the Aussie MMA Instagram page and give us a bit of glow up. We're
Don't
killing
forget to check out Australian MMA magazine. That guy is doing the right things too, so let's go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Australian MMA podcast. What a bloody weekend of fights. My name is Mr. Tinley. If you haven't joined us before, welcome. We're going to talk some uneducated shit because not a journalist, just a fan with an audience. Guys, if you enjoy the podcast, check it out on YouTube. If you are on Spotify or if you're on YouTube, go check it out on Spotify. Leave some reviews, some subscribes, you know, all the stuff the kids say. And the most active part of the community, check us out, Australian MMA _ on Instagram. That's when you'll see the most spiciest of the stuff. Now, huge weekend. Time of recording, Monday, 17th of November, 10:07 a.m. I don't know if you want to set your watches to that. But, man, what a weekend. Starting on, what was it, Friday? 4 huge events that involved Aussies in a very, very good capacity. And then this week, looking good as well with ONE FC, Kim Tran. She'll be fighting. That interview's coming out very soon. And Hex Fight Series 37, headlined by Kasib Murdoch and Chris Ostajanovsky for the bantamweight title. So, and then the returning JJ Ambrose and Hoshi Friedrich fighting for the vacant welterweight crown. As Kit Campbell handed that over for his quest for the UFC. But yeah, we're of course covering the weekend, and it was massive. Of course, you had the UFC 322, where unfortunately our boy Jack Della Maddalena could not hold on to his welterweight scrap. We'll talk about that very, very soon. And some Aussies sort of doing a bit of international exposure as well, with Brenton Mumford and Reece McLaren heading over to UAE Warriors in the UAE. It was really cool to see Reece McLaren continue his win streak, and unfortunately did not go the way for old Brenton Mumford. And the main bit of this chat, this little interview, this little recap, little breakdown, little controversy starter as it always is. Eternal MMA 100 and 101, which is a huge feat for any promotion. The probably best accomplishment any Australian MMA promotion has ever done. Putting up the bat, century, 100, and then like what happens in MMA, as soon as guys win, we're often like, moving on to the next thing, like what's next? It's very similar to what Eternal did. We're like, 100, yay! And then literally the next night, new chapter, 101. And some cracker fights. Some fights unfortunately fell out as well. Some storylines that advance at all, but we're going to break it all down. First off, I'll go in like chronological order at the start. UAE Warriors was first. UAE Warriors 65, I think I got here. I took notes, by the way, guys. I'll never take notes. So this shows you how big this weekend was. I really don't want to forget anyone. Reece McLaren, if you don't know, trains out of Queensland, out of now CMBT, formerly on ONE Championship, flyweight / bantamweight. I think he's 19-9 now. Probably got the skills to be in the UFC. Will he get his chance? I think he's 33, 34, so unsure, but like now is the moment. And we've had him on the show before. Once again, hit up YouTube, Spotify, Australian MMA _ and you can see the previous interviews with Reece McLaren and sort of just get to know him. He's very, very talented. But yeah, he made the jump to UAE Warriors, and I really like what they're doing. I feel like if you'll notice, there was John Martin Fraser, Amina Hadaya, Reece McLaren, Brenton Mumford as well. We'll talk about him real soon. All kind of spending some time in UAE Warriors. I kind of think it's cool because it's like the guys that when they're sort of like almost like not fighting on Eternal, or there's like nothing jumping out at them, they're just sort of like dipping over, getting some international experience, kind of progressing their careers and their storylines, and then sometimes coming back. But I think it's cool. I think it's cool. There's like a nice little outlet, and it doesn't have to be, the PFL or UFC. They don't have to lock themselves in. They're just sort of signing like one fight deals, and then just sort of coming back and doing other stuff. But yeah, Reece McLaren took on, what's his name? Yamamoto Fujita. He's a pretty good Japanese lad. He won by decision in his classic. Reece McLaren just showing that he is, without a doubt, that level. Is he UFC level? Who knows? I'd like to see him get his opportunity. But if not, I'd be very interested. I know Reece McLaren doesn't really want to do the regional. I'm seeing to understand why, because he was like ONE Championship and They're kind of, they're right up there. So I think he sees it as like coming down, which I don't think it is. But I think that's potentially how he sees it. But I would love to see Reece McLaren take on Anthony Drillich for the Eternal MMA Flyweight Championship. I think that's the best fight to make. And then I think the winner can go to the UFC. Maybe not the Sydney card, but maybe, I don't know, 103 I think is going to be in January for Eternal. Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. Reece McLaren versus Anthony Drillich. That's the first one that sort of pops into my mind. And unfortunately, Brenton Mumford went down against, what was his name? Azarano? Ferreira? Don't know. And he lost, I think it's 2 minutes 30, round 1, head and arm choke. Really cool to see a legend like Brenton Mumford, who has retired, I think, 3 or 4 times and come back, because he's just a bloody G. He's one of really the OGs. I mean, on a weekend where you sort of round of applause to sort of Eternal MMA and everything they've done for Australian MMA, it was really cool to see Brenton Mumford sort of get his international exposure as well, because he definitely deserves that. But if you watch the fight, it's on Fight Pass, UAE Warriors 65. Check it out. It actually looks like Brenton got eye poked. And then kind of got like dropped or taken down and strangled. But he and the ref just didn't even think about it. And you see the after effects. He literally has, like, they had to go see the doctor, and he's got like an eye patch and everything. So it's like, worse than Tom Aspinall. But yeah, he got a finger in the eye. They didn't seem to protest it too much, and that's kind of, I guess, how much of a G Mumford is. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, unfortunately, he went down. Hopefully, he gets another opportunity. He was in the co-main. I think he's like 10-9 now or something. But like, he got an opportunity that high up the card. I think it was relatively short notice. So it would just be cool if Brenton Mumford gets like another opportunity, because I don't think there's much for him to do in the regional scene unless it's a 20th attempted fight with Wes Kappa. But yeah, I would like to see Brenton get another opportunity. So yeah, that was UAE Warriors 65. I think they're doing a great job at scouting for Australian talent, and I think most of the time they're bringing them over. We've got a good audience, so like their guys can win, but we seem to be like upsetting them quite a bit. So I like it. It's really, really cool. And before we go into Eternal 100 and Eternal 101, like I said, I told you some of the events coming up this week, but I really wanted to sort of dive a little bit on UFC 322 in New York. Very, very unfortunate news for our boy. And as Chris Weidman's dad once said, "That's still my boy." Jack Della, unfortunately, losing his welterweight crown to what is probably a top 5 fighter ever in Islam Makhachev. So, I mean, you can't be sort of too upset about that. Although Jack will be back. I think he's only 29. And a fun fact, a lot of people don't actually know this. Not that there's any excuses or anyone wants to know. But Jack Della was not even a professional fighter when Islam Makhachev was in the UFC. So, I don't know. I'm not, there's heaps of that, but I'm just saying, like, how far and how quick Jack has come has made all of us Australians, like, mega proud. And I know that he doesn't want any consolation prizes, and this shit is probably the worst thing to say to him. Probably doesn't make him feel any better. But, man, I have never seen a country rally behind someone who has lost like that. I mean, it's incredible. Now, the people talking shit online, like, it's Islam Makhachev. He's that good. And Jack Della just, unfortunately, couldn't get going. It looked like he had an injury, a lot of grimacing on his face. I don't think we've seen that before. I just think maybe we've just never really seen Jack in that position. So I reached out, I haven't heard anything about if there was an injury. It did look like he had a cut anyway, so he's obviously like had a tough camp, working hard, and there was no expense spared in terms of people putting in time. Alex Volkanovski stepped up. Craig Jones, of course, you saw in the corner. And people have to stop this as well with Craig Jones, thinking like all he just does is like cocaine and hang out. Like, he's a fucking genius, and he works really, really hard. And if you just think that like, oh yeah, he would have told Jack to just like chill in half guard or like just hang out, like, you're ridiculous. It did look though that Jack was trying to use the old octopus guard, I can't even explain it. It's like when you're in half guard, you reach across and then you can't like scoot your hips out, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, it actually looked like he was trying to use it a few times, which was really, really cool. I don't know if that was like Craig Jones inspired or if I'm retarded and don't actually know what I'm looking at. But it actually, yeah, it was cool. And look, at the end of the day, Islam could not sub him. I know that is the worst consolation prize ever. Like, no, I don't think any fighter really wants to hear that. But, mate, it's a feather in the cap. And Islam's not just like a regular wrestler either. So it's not like, I don't want to hear this thing about like Jack can't wrestle. Jack can wrestle. But Islam is just next level. What it does do is, and it's always hard because, you know, guys are always feeling different at different moments, but like what Volk did against Islam at UFC 284 back in February, I think it was 2023. I mean, how impressive is that? Like looking now what Islam has done and seeing what Volk was able to do to him and arguably beat him. Yeah, it was super impressive. But anyway, Jack's still young in the game. I think his coach Benny Vickers just put out a memo as well. It really is only the beginning. And you guys got to understand that, like when it comes to like Eternal and Hex and Beatdown and like regional fights, like sure, I'll be like critical even if I shouldn't be, or I'll have my opinion and all that sort of shit. When it comes to like an Australian, just throw my authenticity, my credibility out the window because bloody, I'm just a cheerleader. But honestly, if you're an Australian and you are critiquing Jack in any way, go fuck yourself and burn your flag because we are real ride or die when it comes to our Aussies, and that's how it needs to be. You fight to the death and you protect him, and you, even if you sound like an idiot, you just you go all in. I'm sure his team will do the technical analysis. They don't want you going, oh, Jack should work on his wrestling. Like, shut up. Or, you know, you would at least, if you're in MMA, you would at least know someone that knows him. So not even on like a he'll punch you in the head way, just as in like you know, it's a different type of support that I think we've got to show as Aussies, and it's got to be one-eyed and it's got to be biased. But yeah, you swing for the fences when you're defending that man, and I will too, even if it throws the credibility out the window. But a round of applause, Jack. You won't be watching this. Don't think anyone on his team will. But mate, we are so proud of you. Just what you've done, what you've accomplished in such a short time. I think his Contender Series fight was in 2021. So in 4 short years, man, he's won the belt and then lost it. But my only piece of oral record to put out there is that winning the belt is one thing, sort of trying to defend it is another. But I feel like this is when you find out who a real champion is when he reaches the mountaintop and he trips and falls to the bottom. Does he have it in him to climb his way back? And I'm telling you now, and I'm not going to pretend that me and Jack are like best friends or anything, but from what I know of Jack Della, you ain't seen nothing yet. Let me tell you that. You ain't seen nothing yet. Yeah, moving on. It's probably the main reason you guys all came here. Eternal with a massive weekend. I mean, how good was that? Eternal 100, Eternal 101 at Southport Sharks, back to back. I really like they're doing this each year. I obviously didn't make it this year, but last year I think I did a live stream, like both events. It's really, really cool. I think they even advertised their awards. I didn't see anything on that, so maybe that got cancelled, or maybe they kept that a little bit in-house. But I'm pretty sure they were doing Eternal 100, Eternal 101, and then that awards, which I think is a really, really cool idea. I've always wanted to do like a physical awards too, because of course the Australian MMA awards are coming up as well, where we, breakthrough fighter, regional fighter, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, look, the moment sort of belonged to Eternal, and I think they did really well. Especially, imagine running one event, let alone two. Cam must be insane to do that, because I don't think there's too many promoters on the planet that would run back-to-back shows. So you got to sort of feel for him too. When I think Eternal 100, the main card ended up having only 4 fights. And there was like a couple that fell out with injuries. Of course, Jackson Weir-White, Nate Law, that was going to be an absolute banger. It was going to be the Eternal MMA 100 main event, and that fell out, so that was really, really sad. Jackson Weir-White ended up getting hospitalised, and couldn't make that bout. Michael Barber was going to be on the card. Hibbard versus Etchell, Sam Hibbard versus Sean Etchell. That would have been an absolute butchering of a fight by both men. So that would have been an absolute cracker. Now the 4 fights did end up they were awesome, and we'll go on for them in a sec. But it was pretty cool to see Eternal 100 sort of come together and do like a century of fights, fight shows. I probably wanted to see like, and this is me being incredibly biased, but like Isaac Tisdale, who was like the Eternal MMA lightweight champion at one point in time, he was there cornering a fighter. There was a few other guys. I would have liked to maybe hear like some interviews, and they probably could have done it with time, of like them back in the day. Like as in, I mean, I know Tim Moore was fighting, but maybe a bit more of like oh, this is your champion from 2014. Give it up. And then maybe like a little highlight package. Keep in mind, I'm talking as if there's no budget and all that sort of shit, which is, you have no idea how hard it is for them to even put on the shows that they do. And we're talking like there's millions of dollars in the budget. But I'm just saying, I would like to have like seen like a bit more trip down memory lane at like bits and pieces, so like they could sort of talk about what the fight shows were like. But actually, a man I actually would have liked to have heard more is maybe Cam go into the cage at some point in the night. I don't know, this is like super like indulgent type thing, but I think if you can never be indulgent, it's when you've put on like the most shows in Australian history and you've hit the century mark. It would have been cool to see Cam go out there and just be like, I don't know, just some sort of rant about it all. I'm thinking like Triple H WWE before WrestleMania. I don't know. That was just me. I liked the package they did as well. I think it was after the co-main event. That was really, really cool. Really, really well done. I got to appear in it. But they just ran through some of the events. That highlight package was, I really, really liked that. But yeah, it was really, really cool. I'm really happy for them. And I think 100 events is something to put a feather in your cap. And if you sort of stepped away and never did another show again, I mean, I don't think 100 will be touched, even at this rate, the way, I think, who's the closest? Probably Hex Fight Series, and they're at 37, and they run 4 a year. So what's that? 15 more years? 20 more years? My math is correct. Like, no one's going to touch them for quite some time. So big props to the boys. Now, moving on to the fights. Shout out to Tanira Nathan, Matty Bones Williams, Blake Richardson did a great job, ring announcer as well, and Kyle Noak, who was weirdly dressed like Arnold Schwarzenegger in that 1990s movie Junior. Like the glasses, but you know, it was, look, shout out to all of them. They really, really made the night what it was. Moving on to the first fight on the main card, UFC Fight Pass. You can still check it out. Eternal MMA 100. Kane Rickus versus James Sargison. Now, James, very, very talented in the jiu-jitsu world. If you know anything about this channel and the sport in general, you would know that Rod Costa is really sort of... everyone gets behind Rod Costa as being like this amazing jiu-jitsu guy in MMA, and Sargison beat him, I think, in a grappling match on Mud Battlegrounds or something like that. But anyway, that's how sort of like dangerous and scary he can be. Kane Rickus, training at Luestro Combat Academy, 0-2. I think he is something like 2-8 in his last 10 fights, including amateur. The dude is just like relentless. Seems to have not mastered the weight cut yet, but he's just like relentless when it comes to like, most guys might walk away. You know what I mean? Being like 1-3, 1-5, whatever it ends up being. He's just like shows up, goes to work, and Romel Luestro is like brutal. Like if he doesn't think you're any good, he'll tell you. And Kane just keeps coming. So couldn't have been prouder. He landed the cleanest Quillen Sourkield head kick, which is, as I said on the Instagram, if you want to learn how to head kick 2-3 years, Luestro. similar to wrestling in Dagestan. It just, a couple of weeks apart, or 2 weeks apart, and Quillan Southfield lands that head kick, and then Kane Rickus lands that head kick, and they're looking very, very identical. But yeah, very, very happy for Rickus. Just really cool to see. If you knew a lot about him, he just sort of digs deep to continue his career, and I think that was really nice. After this fight, there was Blake Richardson did a little podcast with Kevin Cophamel. I love Blake Richardson. I genuinely would listen to just those two talk. Kevin Cophamel always does great. He's just the sweetest guy in the world. If you don't remember him, he did an absolute fight of the year, fight of the decade, fight of the ever with Harry Webb. At Eternal MMA 87 back in August. We've seen Kevin since. We have not seen Harry Webb. I did see a photo of him online. He looks like he's doing really well. So hopefully he's at least back to enjoying life as well. And then hopefully we can see him in the cage again, because I will not stop the Harry Webb hype train. That is just currently going through a bit of maintenance, but is still on the track to success. So I'm looking forward to seeing Harry Webb back. But yeah, Kevin Cophamel, we're talking about, he will be the number one contender. He will fight the winner of the Justin Van Heiden George Mangos fight, which we will talk about. That was Eternal 101 main event. Kevin Cophamel, yeah, it's really cool. I think after that fight with Harry, I was like, give him the belt, just give him the featherweight championship, opportunity. He's just that. I feel like that earns you anything. But yeah, it's great kid. Interesting to hear him speak as well. Moving on to Matt. This is what my name is. Matt Fuck Fordham, because I've never seen a man drop so many F-bombs in an interview. It is incredible. I think I have an interview with him as well. If you check out Australian MMA and Matt Fordham, it's just every second word is not fuck, which is cool. So he might have to clean that up just a little bit to get to the UFC. But super talented. I think he's 3-0, 4-0 probably now. Trains at Ignites with like all David Martinez and stuff. So he's just a phenomenal grappler. And just knows how to like nerk people. Like he looks like one of the scariest men ever. Like if he asked you for like coins in the street, you would go out and take out a loan for him, and you'd give him your entire mortgage. Like he's just an intimidating fella, and he's really, really slick on the ground. He's a massive lightweight. So yeah, he finished. Sorry, I didn't even give you the result. Matt Fordham defeated Niam El Chapo Steven via round 1 armbar. Now Niam Steven El Chapo has had, I would say, a tougher time than the actual El Chapo. I think he's 3-4 now, or something along those lines. The guys he has lost to, Quillan Southfield, I think it's Harry Webb, and Tom Nolan. And then Matt Fordham will probably be a champion as well. So dude is as gangster as El Chapo, if not more. Just an absolute stud, and unfortunately had to fight all of those guys. But credit to him. Yeah, Fordham, definitely one to watch, so keep an eye on him. Moving on, what do we got? Oh, Tim Moore versus Shane Parker. Now, I didn't know this because I wasn't doing this as long, but Blake Richardson mentioned in the cage that this fight was booked to be the main event back at Eternal MMA 1. So I think that's really cool. Really like poetic. And you could actually see at the end of the bout, Cam O'Neill's like stepping up cage side, and he's like kind of like clapping, and you can like see it in his eyes. Kind of like, it's like all full circle. It's really, really nice. It's really, really nice moment. But yeah, Tim Moore versus Shane Parker. Shane Parker, he was like Commonwealth Games wrestler back in the day. Tim Moore, multiple-time champion, defended the belt, all that sort of stuff. Fought Eternal as well, so it was really, really cool. And now he's just sort of like a fun fighter. Like he's not necessarily chasing like the UFC or anything like that. I think you even see on Eternal MMA on Instagram like bangs a beer after the weigh-in, which is hilarious. But yeah, that was a fun fight. Tim Moore walking away with the victory and retiring, which once again, full circle poetry. I really, really liked it. Yeah, and that sort of moved us on to the main event, which was Taser Malone. He defeated Oscar Marlowe via decision in the main event. They got sort of thrust into the main event with all the fight fallouts previously. Oscar Marlowe, I didn't know much about him. I still really don't. I've got to get him on the show to have a chat, but I think I first noticed him when he took on Jet Fisher. I was like, oh, this is a guy Jet's supposed to run through. Oscar Marlowe beat him. And then Oscar Marlowe sort of went to town with Taser, and arguably if you told me he won, I would have been like, oh, all right. Taser Malone obviously proving too tough for Marlowe, but I think Marlowe is definitely one to sort of keep an eye on, and in a way that kind of gave Marlowe like the rub. So I think he's going to get a few more eyes on him next bout. When it comes to Taser Malone, I think it was quite funny in his post-fight. He talked a bit of shit to Justin Van Heerden and George Mangos, saying that Justin Van Heerden is the most boringest guy in Australian MMA. Keep in mind they fought each other recently, where Taser lost via a decision in a very grappling heavy match, if you will. And then he also said that George Mangos is ducking him, which I love a bit of spice, but it was cool. I actually think Taser Malone, I want to talk about this later as well with the George Mangos fight. I'm going to take out my crystal ball here. I actually reckon we will see Taser Malone take on Kevin Cophamel for the Eternal MMA Featherweight Championship next year. I think Eternal 104 is in March, or if they're ready to go in February, 103? 103 is in, I think, Perth. So, and that's Kevin Cophamel's town. So I reckon, obviously, we'll see that soon. The reason why I don't think it's George Mangos, stick around to find out. We then move on to Eternal MMA 101, and just when, you're 3 events or sort of 2 events down, you're getting ready for 2 more with Eternal 101 and UFC 322. We move on to the Saturday, and Eternal 101, same event, new chapter, new era, headlined by Van Heerden and Mangos. Now, the results, I'll give you them quickly as if you don't know them, but Yukutsa, I can't even say his name, I apologize. Yukutsa Hakimi defeated Randang via TKO round 1. Jordan Southern defeated Luke Melrose via sub round 3. Josh O'Brien defeated Mirias Kaka round 1 TKO. Michael Allsop defeated Katoni Tada via TKO round 2. Kobe Porter defeated John Bruin via split decision. Connor Downey defeated Lonnie Filamahala via round 1 submission. Beautiful comeback. And then to round out the event, George Mangos defeated Justin Van Heerden via round 1 TKO. But going back to the start of the card, Randang is one of the scariest men, the absolute boogeyman, knocks everyone out. No one wants to fight him. The Midnight Samurai, just as scary as they come. And they finally found him an opponent, Yukutsa Hakimi, who he said, I don't know, I know nothing about him. I think he's the Afghan warrior. And he says 2-time kickboxing world champion. So I'm going to have to do some research on that man. But boy, did he prove it with the beautiful spinning elbow knocking Randang out. I think it was called a TKO, but man, it felt like a KO at that stage. It felt so clean. And to do that to Randang is like super impressive. So he's definitely one to keep an eye on, and he's definitely a career guy because, man, he was on the mic going like, Dana White, like, sign me. So it's like he wants it. So I think he's a guy that's burst onto the scene, and it'll seem like an upset, I think, to us. But I think, like, looking back, and then you look at his schedule, I think what I say, it's like out of knowing him. That's a naive upset. So like to me, it was an upset, but probably if you like looked at their records and looked at like their resumes, it probably wasn't. But I had no idea who Mr. Hakimi was, but bloody now I do. Moving on to Jordan Southern, he took out Luke Melrose via submission round 3. That was just beautiful. I'm loving Southern. No, I'm not going to say that. That's a horrible name. Jordan Southern, just, I think, was entertaining to watch. Showman Beatdown Promotions. Haven't seen any sort of storylines sort of jump out yet, but I think if he just keeps winning, he's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on. Speaking of storylines, Josh O'Brien defeated Miras Kaka. TKO ground and pound round 1. And it was just a roller coaster of a fight week for Josh O'Brien. He lost his opponent. Then he decided to weigh in anyway. I don't know if that was because he was told he'll get a fight type thing, or he was just sort of, he was telling me that it was just to do it. I don't know if it was keeping it a secret or if he just sort of is just sort of strong-minded and wanted to prove a point. But he also got sick as well, he said. in fight week and still managed to make weight. So it's just like he's just a real G. Training out of is it Rivals Gym in Castle Hill under Shane Parker and that. So the Menace is one of the most beautiful mullets in the game, and he really is just like a dangerous man. Super impressive, Josh. I think he was 5-6 in amateur, but that's because he would fight everyone and try and kill them. So I think as a professional, he's going to be fun to watch. I'm hearing his skill is right up there as well, but right now, to me, he is known as like a highlight sort of fighter. So I think if you can mix both of those, we could see a contender in a couple of years. Moving on, speaking of contenders, I think this man is probably one fight away from getting a title shot. He's that fun already. Michael Allsop defeated Kotoni Tadar via TKO, knee to the body, round 2. But I actually think it was the right hand that did it first. Michael Allsop, the Golden Gloves boxer, I think I heard, training out of Infinite MMA. I feel like that's all you need to say sometimes. Those boys are... they're tough. They're tough and they're good, and old John Campbell does not let any wimps in his team or snakes in the grass, as they say. I love it. I love that now Michael Allsop is... I think he knocked out Jesse Wynn, who I've gone back and said just how talented Jesse Wynn is as well, and then he's sort of backing it up against Tadar, and I think in less than a month he was back in the cage. So, yeah, I think it was really, really cool. The gym of Infinite MMA always been known as like Harry Webb and Luke Daly. And so to kind of see Michael Allsop sort of come and start to put the gym on his back as well. I think give him a fighter like Frank Jankowski. I know he's coming off 2 losses, but he's like fought for the belt, had the belt. Really strong grappler, because everyone knows Michael Allsop's just like some sick, like a really, really sick boxer. So it'd be cool to see him against a guy who's like so grapple heavy, and then if you can sort of like shut him down, just bloody give him the title shot. You know what I mean? I think it's Larsenisi versus Drillich might be next or something like that. Or my one that I threw out next, which was Drillich and McLaren. And then you just move that, and then you get Larsenisi, give him to Allsop. Oh no, I think it's exciting. I think flyweight's like super exciting. And I think Allsop definitely one to keep an eye on. I should just name this ones to watch, because all it just ends with is me saying he's one to watch. But he really, really is. And he's like most Infinite guys, they're like humble but like mean at the same time. You know, it's cool. I like it. Next fight up, Kobe Porter defeated John Bruin via split decision. If you beat John Bruin, I just think like you're very talented. He's in, and this is like a respectful way possible. He's like a real good gatekeeper. Nah, I shouldn't say that. Like a measuring stick. If you can do well against John Bruin, or you can sort of take him out, you very much belong. Kobe Porter took him out by split decision. It was grindy fight, fun fight, and Kobe Porter's kind of always been the guy against the guy. So it'd be cool to see him sort of spin the wheels a bit and get a bit of momentum. But him on the mic after was pretty cool. He was all like, I'm a bulldog and take my muzzle off and I'm going to eat everyone or something. It was really, really cool. I always like the entertaining aspects of it. But yeah, look, not much to say on some of these guys. Like I said, Jordan Southern previously and Kobe Porter, but just they did business. Yeah, they took care of business. You keep rolling. Not everything can be this like massive statement where now you get a title shot or now you get this next big fight. I just think Kobe Porter went in there, took care of business, and keep an eye on that man. Co-main event, Eternal MMA 101. We had Connor Downey and Lonnie Filamahala. Now, Lonnie already was coming off the back of a crazy comeback fight himself where he was nearly finished and he came back and he won. And now, sometimes with a hammer, sometimes with a nail, they say. And he unfortunately goes down, or fortunately if you're Connor Downey, who defeated Lonnie Filamahala, round 1 submission. And Connor Downey, if you don't know, trains at Sydney West Martial Arts, and they are without a doubt the best, most accomplished grappling gym that does MMA, I think, currently, as of 2025. Connor Downey is always fun, always likes to play spoiler. He gets dropped hard, like nearly finished by Lonnie, and just finds a way to turn it around in the same round and finish it with a rear naked choke. So I think that's very, very impressive of Conor Downey. Lonnie is a bit up and down at times, but everyone will talk about just how impressive Lonnie is as well. So to see Downey sort of do that, and he's got slick submissions. If you go check the Michael Moses fight where he wins by heel hook, he just looks like an Imanari roll and say Ryan Hall style, and takes him, finishes him by heel hook in 35 seconds. So Conor Downey, I really, really like watching as well. Is he going to fight for a belt? I don't know, but he seems to be beating guys that can, like beating Declan Wolfenden as well was a massive feather in his cap. So Downey, big things from Downey coming, and Lonnie I don't think is going anywhere. I think he'll be back next event. That's how sort of active and keen he is. Now I want to round this out, of course, with the Eternal MMA 101 main event. George Mangos versus Justin Van Heerden. These boys have fought before on Hex Fight Series where Justin basically was winning for about 3 rounds of the fight, and George Mangos pulled off a flying triangle. It was beautiful to watch. But Justin was winning the fight. And we then obviously see George go on his run previously, and then he gets his Dana White Contender Series bout, goes up against Radley De Silva. Radley De Silva just holds on to him for 3 rounds, and George loses. And I've never seen a man so angry and so upset to lose his O, and he is taking it out on everybody. He came out and just battered Justin Van Heerden. The shots that he was throwing ends up taking out Justin Van Heerden via TKO, round 1. Hits him so hard he breaks his hand, so he's out for 6 weeks. But man, next, like, yeah, George is ready. I'm hearing noise that he very well could be on the UFC Sydney card. And when you've got a manager like Tim Simpson, they don't blow smoke up your ass for no reason. And he's like the Michael Jordan of managers. Like, he can just like make shit happen. He must have he's just a very, very good manager. And he can spot great talent. But yeah, he seems to just sort of make it happen. So if he's saying that UFC Sydney is a strong possibility, then I wouldn't be surprised if we see Mangos not even need to do Contender Series and get right back in there. Unfortunate for Justin Van Heerden. What does Justin do from here? I don't know. I think, unfortunately, I love Justin. Big friend of the show. He's done a lot in building this show, actually. And I don't think I've ever told him this, but yeah, very, very grateful for everything Van Heerden did in the early days of this channel and outlet. But I think his UFC sort of aspirations are, unfortunately, they're done. He's still young. I actually wouldn't mind him just, and I'd never speak for anyone, of course, but I'd like to see him just maybe wrap it up and just go focus on some other shit. Because you can't be that good in Australia and work a full-time job or anything like that. But I think he's done enough, and I think he's only 31 or 32, so retiring is feels a bit weird. But I'd like him to sort of move on to the next aspect of life. Is he still at the top of the game? Absolutely. But also who does he fight? Even if you just look at Tapology, Seb Saleh's going to be in the UFC. He just fought George Mangos. Rahiki's in the UFC. Rod Costa, you don't really want to see again. Maybe a Kyle Maoki, but he's just Diego Pereira retired. Sam Kikembe, Taser Malone, they already fought. Maybe a rematch there, but it wasn't the most exciting fight. Yeah, he's just all Al Volders. It's just him helping guys, him being the name that's being served up. So if he wants to still fight those fights, I guess more power to him. I'll bloody keep watching. But yeah, I think that sort of next level for Van Heerden is unfortunately over. George Mangos, on the other hand, someone pissed in his cornflakes because that man was. Yeah, he did not fight Justin Van Heerden that night. He fought Radley De Silva, and he took it out of him. It was just violent. I love George Mangos' striking. I think the more he does it, the more credit he gets. He was just known as this little grappler who would sort of half drop you and then finish with the rear naked choke, where now he's looking like a very serious striker. The old Marwan Rahiki, Freaky Rahiki's rubbing off on him. Saw him throw a spinning wheel kick. That was sick. But yeah, look, I think George is just crisp and clean, and he's probably one of the biggest and best prospects we've had in quite some time. And I've never seen a guy take a loss in Contender Series and almost come out with just as much props. If he takes his victory and enters the UFC without the Contenders, that just proves to you how impressive I actually think he is. So shout out to him. There's an interview up as well, or at least will be soon, on this very channel with George Mangos, with his cast in his hand, talking about kind of what's next for him and how that all goes down. But guys, what a weekend. What a fight weekend. I am friggin' exhausted, I tell you that. UAE Warriors 65, Eternal 100, Eternal 101. They're all on UFC Fight Pass. Go check it out. Of course, UFC 322, unfortunate for old Jack Della. Coming up, I mean, some other events probably slipped my mind, but Kim Tran, she'll be on One Championship. We've got an interview with her coming out. She is, I've been told, and after speaking to her as well, she is just one to watch. She's a good character. Told you, one to watch. She's just a good character, good personality, and she can fight and hit hard. And Matty Bones Williams, who is the head coach of her career, Eternal MMA commentator, he is... he's propping her up as well. And she's signed by Platinum One, which is John and McAuliffe's team. And they're like, they're really, really getting behind her. And then, of course, Hex Fight Series 37. There's some fights there. Guys, look, if you liked it, leave a review on Spotify. That would really help me out. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel, write some comments. Like, dislike, I don't care. Just be vocal about it. Check us out, Australian MMA _. Other than that, I'll see you next time, guys.